Tēnā rā tātou katoa, ko hamo te motu, ko te moana nui a kiwa te moana, ko leo waa te iwi, ko Polynesian Airlines te waka, ko te whanganui a tara toku tūranga waiwai, ko Sulita Mareko toku mama, ko Simon Mareko ahau. Kia ora tātou, talofa lava, namaste. My name's Simon Mareko. I'm one of the amazing youth workers at Evolve Youth Service, just up the road here. And we're a youth one-stop shop based here in central Wellington. There are several of us around the country. And so I'm just here to have a bit of a chat with everybody here around this specific topic, around practical tips to make a service or practice youth-friendly. So I thought where else to start but to start with who I am. So just as I mentioned, my name's Simon Mareko. Born and raised here in Wellington. This is a little photo of me. Anyone able to have a guess as to what age they might think I am in that photo? Two? Three? I'm actually 9 months in this photo. According to my mother, I'm 9 months in this photo. I'd like to think that I'm probably 2 in that photo, but not. So, like I said, born and raised here in Wellington, grew up in Newtown, which is it's a fairly, when I was growing up, it was a fairly low socioeconomic type neighbourhood. It's gone up a little bit more since then, but I grew up in a place called Newtown and attended St Anne's School and then went on to St Patrick's College, also here in Wellington. I guess the reason why I wanted to share a little bit about that is that I'm born and raised here in Wellington, grew up as a young person here in Wellington, so a lot of what I do and a lot of my experiences have been through my own upbringing as a young person, and how I'm able to try and project that onto some of the young people that I work with. And so in terms of our topic today that I've been asked to come and have a bit of a chat with everyone about, in terms of giving some practical tips about how to create a youth-friendly space or service, the only place I can really compare it to is the place where I currently work, which is Evolve. So I've just got some brochures here about Evolve, so I'll just pop that onto some of the tables. So that, awesome, thanks Sue. So it just gives you a bit more of a background as to who we are, what we do, what kind of services we provide. So I'm not here to really give a promotional advertisement about Evolve, although it does seem like it at the moment when you're receiving these brochures. But I guess in terms of this particular kōrero that I'm here speaking about this morning, I can only reflect upon the practice that I'm currently serving at, which is Evolve. So in terms of Evolve, so we're a youth one-stop shop, so we have doctors, nurses, nurse practitioner, mental health nurse. We also have amazing youth workers, social workers, and an awesome admin team. So I just pulled this off from our website this morning, and so the way we've tried to word it in terms of our wording on our website, we're a bunch of nurses, doctors, counsellors, youth workers, social workers, admin stars, and superheroes who work together to make sure young people feel supported when they need it. So we tried to not, we didn't want to make the jargon very huge. We knew that the audience, that majority of the audience that were going to be coming and accessing our website are going to be young people. So we wanted to make sure, one, they can connect with the language, and two, that they can actually feel welcomed and invited, that they know that they're not going to be judged when they come through, but they're going to get the support that they need from the amount of services that are provided under one roof. So just to move on quickly, I'm just going to do a quick activity with everybody, just on your tables. So I'm going to bring around some sheets of paper, and all I'm wanting everyone to do at your table, so we've all been young once, and in accordance with the New Zealand Youth Development Strategy, it defines young people, so not children, we're not talking about children, so we're talking about young people ages 12 to 24, all right? So the group activity that I'm wanting everyone to do, like I said, everyone's been young before, everyone's been between these ages, some more recent than others. But all I'm wanting everyone to do is to brainstorm in your small tables what a youth-friendly service or practice looks like to you. Okay, so what a youth-friendly service or practice looks like to you. So what I might do, I'll just get table by table and we'll just get you to just yell out from your table some of the ideas that you have from your brainstorm. So if we start off with this table here and we'll just go around clockwise.
First one was free Wi-Fi. Well, I thought it's sort of not too formal sort of a space, quite relaxed and casual, with some sort of discrete areas, because sometimes young people sort of want to be by themselves, not feel like everyone's looking at them as well. Having relevant posters and information around, 18-year-old doesn't want to look at the shingles vaccine poster, thought it's something that's more that, and have some staff, a mixture, but also someone they can see is more age appropriate as well, so they can relate to assessments.
Great answer. Thank you.
Okay, we have the technology Wi-Fi is number one as well. Flexible seating, so that if they come in with a group of friends, they can kind of arrange it to how it works for them. Option of patient portal, so they can make appointments themselves and bypass the reception area. Flexible appointments, and tied in with that walk-in service, so that's built in before a person's even arrived. Reception area welcoming, but also confidentiality is part of that, so the whole waiting list not going to know what's going on. So the personality and values of the receptionist is really important. Posters, to say about confidentiality, and there's other things on there too, like lots of brochures and so maybe even coffee, water, something.
So ours is very similar to what's already been said, but important things like the location of it, and then again that kind of adds to the confidentiality factor, which I think is really good about Evolve. It's at a really central location, but it's not like explicit as to what it is and where it is. A relaxed environment, relevant posters as has been mentioned, good information for supports, counselling, social work, things like that. Having approachable staff that are of varying age ranges, which has already been said, and a place that's just colourful and has a nice vibe.
Nice. Great. Thank you. Next table.
We're following along the same lines. We have got accessible and easy access with friendly hours, drop-in availability, flexible in appointments, friendly, free Wi-Fi, a sense of care and good follow-up, to be social, have music and sensory and games and interaction, so it's not just all clinical and the whole confidentiality thing, you're not just going there to have an appointment because something's wrong necessarily, but to be able to bring your friends and be supported.
Sure.
Oh, and then no corporate clothing to make it nice and casual.
Okay, great, thank you. This table.
There's nothing more to add. You got to it.
Okay, choice, awesome.
I do see one there, music, which is, yep. Oh, okay. Great. Look, it sounds like everyone here has the answers, and that's perfect. That's exactly what the young ones have been, when I've had chats with them, everything that everyone has said in this room is exactly the same things the young people are saying and asking for. And so that's why I wanted to get you to do this activity, because like I said, we've all been young once, we've all been this particular age once, and we all have the answers. I guess the next part of having the answers is implementing those answers. And so how to go about trying to implement them. So for us at Evolve, like I said, I can only speak from my experience and our experience as an organisation. This is how we've tried to implement in terms of trying to create a youth-friendly space. So the first thing for us is our approach. So we we are grounded in the Youth Development Strategy, which was formed in 2002, and this is pretty much the crux of a lot of what we try and do and how we try and operate is by having this youth development strategy in all our practice as a GP, as a nurse, as a counsellor, as a youth worker. So we make sure that that's grounded and that's within our practice, but then also in alliance to that. And so for us, we know that youth development plus the primary healthcare strategy are the key things that's going to help create our approach in terms of being able to support that young person. So with some of the conversations that I've had with some of the GPs over the last couple of days around how can I speak to this amazing group of people in this room today about our approach, and these are the exact things that they were talking about around how they try and operate in terms of their consultations with young people is by having stuff like having a good connection with the young person, which is very similar to some of the stuff that's been mentioned in the primary healthcare strategy. And I've just got some handouts of this, which I'll hand out to everybody, just for those that find it a little bit hard to read up there. But the cool thing, the great thing about the youth development strategy is it's pretty much intertwined with what everyone has been saying. So stuff around good information, stuff around participation from young people, stuff around being connected, having young people viewing and being part of the big picture. So these are the things, these are the core fundamentals that Evolve tries to operate under, and this is our approach in terms of working with young people. It was also mentioned from every group, the physical space. That makes a massive difference. So the kind of posters you have on the wall, the kind of music that you have playing, you don't want talk back happening when there's a group of probably 12 young people sitting there to get who knows what they're waiting for, you know, whether it's to see a GP or a youth worker or even just to sit there because it's cold outside and it's raining and they're probably homeless and it's somewhere for them to come and connect. So having an open space where it's colourful, I heard the word colourful before, which is perfect. So for us, we know that having somewhere where it's colourful, where it's open, the space makes a massive difference to having a young person walk through and feel that they can connect and that it's friendly and they know they're going to get the support that they're going to need. Something that we also created here in terms of our space and our physical space is one of the things one of our young persons said to us a couple of months ago is, man, this wall looks very clinical. It was all white. There was no posters or pictures on the wall. And what they wanted to do, they wanted to brighten it up. And so they created a little art table, and I heard some stuff around the room around having different things there for young people to do, whether it's to draw on or to play with. And so for us, we created this young person created an art table, and it's allowed other young people to come and create artworks and be able to take ownership of the space. And that's been a massive thing for us, is having young people coming in, taking ownership on the space will make a difference to being able to provide a youth-friendly atmosphere. Another way we try and create a youth-friendly space is to be relevant and authentic. Relevant in the sense that, yes, Wi-Fi, you know, we've got to keep up to times, and we also got to keep up with times in the future. So knowing that today's young people will be different to those young people in 5 years' time. Technology is moving a lot faster than what we are doing. So we need to keep up with times, and we need to keep up with the way things are working and the way things are happening. So being relevant, and for us, Wi-Fi is a key one. Also, in terms of artworks, we had a young person come through and they had done some studies through Victoria University, and they wanted to come and do some artwork on one of our bland walls. And what they envisaged was coming to do a big octopus, so using the Te Wheke model. So having a young person coming in and creating a space where, one, they take ownership, but two, it gives some relevance for those who walk through the space and they know, okay, great, this is somewhere where I can connect, this is somewhere where I belong. And so this young person created this this mural for young people to be able to feel like that they can connect and that they can come and be part of this this kaupapa that we're trying to build. Also in the middle here, so this is our reception area. So the first thing you see when you walk through our doors is this rainbow flag. And for us, we've had a huge increase in the LGBTIQ community come through our doors. And a big reasoning for that, when we've done a survey with them, is that this has made the massive difference. It's just they walk in, they see that, they know they're going to get accepted. So having something as simple as, even a poster of this, or just something that's going to create that atmosphere where acceptance is going to be made automatic once they walk through the doors. That'll make a difference. And in terms of authenticity, so this is our nurse practitioner. This was actually our old manager. It was her farewell, and she wanted to have an 80s party. But I pulled up this photo because it made me think, look, this is quite typical of a lot of our young people that come through the door. Some of them are quite bogan. Some of them try to be gangster. And so we thought, okay, let's try and be a bit of let's try and be young again. And so we created this photo, but in terms of authenticity, try not to do that. Try not to image or re-image the young people that are coming through your doors. Be yourself, be who you are, and use the great knowledge and practices that you've come from and all the things that you've learnt over the years. Confidentiality is key. It was great walking in and seeing confidentiality up on the board when Sue was talking, and it's been mentioned around the room as well. For us, that's the key. We know that young people, when they walk through, and I can only assume that everyone here as well would also know that too, that having a confidential space and place where young people can feel like they can speak to someone, and you're right about the receptionist, that makes a massive difference as well. Being able to have that connection with somebody and have a private conversation about what's going on will make a massive difference. So for us, we know that having confidentiality is key, and it's key to building the trust with that young person. And so for us, this is one of our rooms just off our reception area. So we know that if there's a young person who's upset or they don't want to actually tell the nurse that they're here for an STI check or they're here for a pregnancy check, so they can take them off into this room just down the hallway and be able to have a one-to-one conversation. This is our entrance, so it's been mentioned before. So Evolve is lucky to be based here in central Wellington in the city, and I know that other youth one-stop shops around the country, they're in some funny places, but for us, we're very lucky in the sense that, one, we're here in the city, and two, that we're in quite a confidential and secluded area. So we're in the second floor of the James Smith building, and that makes a difference. So young people can walk through James Smith building, and they could be going anywhere. They could be going to the shops, they can be going upstairs to get their hair cut, or they can be coming to Evolve to get whatever it is that they need. So having a confidential space and place will make a big difference. And so just finally, just to wrap it up a bit, so understanding your approach, and everyone has pretty much written everything that young people have been talking about. So you've all got the goods in terms of knowing what tips is needed. So I'm not really here needing to say too much more, but just for you to understand your approach and to, I guess, to probably just figure out maybe some of the things you might need to say might need to be improved a little bit more. I know when I was having a chat with one of our nurses yesterday about this topic, she mentioned, look, one of the things that she learnt really quickly was she was in a consultation with a young person, and they were talking about being homeless and not having any food, but she needed to give this person some pills, and the person needed to take some pills with some food in 3 days' time. And so that she explained that normally because that's I guess that's the normal practice. But then afterwards, the young person said, look, actually, I don't have any food, so I can't take these pills, let alone I can't get these pills because I don't have any money because I'm living on the streets. So that sort of changed her practice in terms of being able to speak with young people in general, in terms of being able to make sure that she's not assuming what they're able to have and what they're able to provide and what they're able to get. So in terms of her approach, that helped improve her approach in terms of her practice as a nurse. The look and the wider of the physical space can make a difference, so just how I mentioned before. Important to be relevant and authentic. Confidentiality is key towards building trust. And to remember that we're all young once. And so that's the key for me in terms of being able to implement this stuff in your own practices, is that remember that you're also that age, maybe a long time ago, maybe a little bit more recent, but that should be able to help inform in terms of what you'll be able to create with your own practices. And finally, this is one of the things, so I asked a couple of our young people earlier in the week, look, give me some stuff as to what you think I should be able to mention to this lovely group that I'm speaking to today. And they said, look, these are the 4 things that they would like me to say. So the 4 don'ts for some young people. Don't wear a tie, so I heard it before. Don't tuck in your shirt, so I've already ticked 2 of those today. Don't assume, so that's a big thing for young people. Don't assume that they're wanting help. Don't assume that they're needing medication. Don't assume. And the 4th one is don't be a dick. And they asked for me to please make sure you say that. I said, look, okay, I'm going to feel a little bit uncomfortable in saying it, but I'll say it because you'd like me to say it. And the reason for them saying that is because they just want someone who's going to be working with them and journeying with them. Because I guess when young people present, they're coming in and they're in need. They're in need of whatever it is, whether it's health, mental health, physical health, and so they're in need of your support. And so for them, they're just simply requesting, to be respectful, to be polite, and they'll be able to hopefully reciprocate that back. But ultimately, don't be a dick, which is also the same mantra that the All Blacks use. So these are the 4 don'ts. If you wanted to take away any specific practical tips, these will probably be the key ones. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora. Any questions?
I have a question about appointments. Do you run appointments or do you run walk-in, or how do you organise that?
Yeah.
What makes that accessible or not?
Yeah.
Great question, thank you, Lynn. So for us, the way we run our appointments, so we have an appointment-based booking, I'm assuming just like everyone else. But we also have a flexi nurse and a flexi doctor of the day. So our flexi nurse, so pretty much they do a lot of triaging stuff. So if a young person presents, they'll be able to triage, okay, what's happening, what's going on for them, and then they'll be able to ascertain who would be the most appropriate person for them to see, whether it's a counsellor, a nurse, doctor, and so on. And then it gives them the opportunity to book them in, whether it needs to be immediate, or it could be they can come back in a few more days, or whether they can be seen by somebody next week. So those are our bookings for our clinical team. For our social support team, so our youth workers, social workers, very different. We operate with when the young person is available and when they need it. So we're often just opening it up to young people to be able to book themselves. So some of them use Manage My Health, and some of them just walk in and just say, hey, can I just see Simon, because I need to get something sorted right here, right now. And so for us, being flexible and accessible in terms of the social support team is quite crucial.
How's your service funded?
Our service is funded, so a few streams. So our key funding is through CCDHB, and then we also get small pockets of funding from City Council, and then also from the likes of Todd Foundation and other funding providers. But our key one is the DHB.
So they don't pay to come and see you?
Yeah, so our service is free. That's the key one that I also missed out. So our service is free, free for anyone in that age bracket, and they also need to be they need to be a resident of the of New Zealand. So yeah, it's free. That's the key thing.
Can I just ask about the counselling? You said 6 free sessions. So what if a young person needs more than 6?
Yep. So If a young person needs more than 6, they go back to the referrer. The referrer is often the nurse or the doctor that sent the referral through to our counsellors, and it's to their own discretion. If the nurse or doctor thinks and believes that the young person needs more, then it's able to be done. So it's a fairly simple process. We try to make sure that it's simple and it's accessible for young people to get, and that we want to make sure that they're not having to jump through hoops like how they have to when they're going to Work and Income or StudyLink or wherever else. So yeah, it's easy and accessible. That's the key thing for us.
To transfer to child and adolescent services, or do you contain them at Evolve?
Yeah, we definitely refer onwards. So I guess the key thing for Evolve, we make sure that we're not doing, we try to make sure that we're not doing the work of secondary services. So we're not a secondary service, we're a primary healthcare service. And so what we try and make sure we're doing is we make sure that we refer onwards when we know that they're above and beyond our capacity. And then we also are aware that some of those services, those secondary services, are also stretched, and we can't just let this young person just drop between the gap. So there's some young people that we're holding on to, and we know that they're going to need to be picked up at some point. And so the good thing about, I guess here in Wellington at least, the good thing with us is that we've got some good connections with the likes of CAMS and the mental health teams and CRS, and we have regular paper round with them. We were able to just share client information and I guess try and build a good plan for some of these young ones who are not able to access some of those secondary services. Yep.
What numbers do you deal with?
Our numbers at the moment, so we are currently, we have a population of 8,000 on our books. Majority, unfortunately, are casual. So we have a casual population and we also have an enrolled population. So of the 8,000, there's probably only about 1,000 that are only registered with Evolve. So Evolve is their main GP, whereas majority of the rest of the group of young people which come under as casual. And I guess in terms of casual, the way we see it is a lot of the young ones that come through that we give them the option to either sign up with Evolve and have this as your main GP service. And for those that don't feel comfortable with that, some of them feel, they have a good connection with their own family GP, or they have a good connection with whoever else. And for some of them, they work in the city, they live out of the city, and it's just convenience being able to come in, get what they need when they need it, and then be able to dash off again. So in terms of population, that's our population numbers, is a small enrolled population which needs to grow for us, but a massive casual population. So it can create some, particularly in some crisis moments where young people are presenting at ED and their notes are getting transferred to their GP service, and we're the ones doing a lot of the work with them, and we're probably the ones that saw them last, and they didn't see their GP at least for 3 or 4 years. So that can be difficult for us in terms of being able to track some of that, but that's our population numbers.
Will the shared care record help with that? Like we've got access to the CERTO and the DHB? Yeah. So that would be a big help?
That would be a massive help, yeah. So yeah, once we're on board with that, that'll make a difference for us, yeah.
Did you get a sense of any things that young people would not want from a female GP? Because I've never been retired, so I just wondered if there was a way that they'd prefer female practitioners to be or not be.
It's probably a great question for Sue.
Hard, because I've always wanted jeans and a t-shirt, because that's me, and I think it's about being you. It's interesting about Don't Be a Dick. We used to have quite a lot of locums at 198, and I'd find out how good they were by just sitting around outside as they came out, and often they come out and go, especially the young GPs, they would come out going, oh, another try hard. Yeah. And because they were, thinking they're young, so they're hip, and they're up with the lingo, and sorry, once you've left school, you're old-fashioned, you don't know the lingo anymore. And you're just a try hard, you're a dick.
On the topic of ties and
Sure, it's really, I mean, I'm sure it's always typed in, I'm comfortable like that, but also it's hard to maintain respect for young people and for my 93-year-olds, and it's trying to find a balance there. So I think probably for me, I'm comfortable trying to be who I am.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I guess for me, I'm not wanting to come here and say, look, change everything you've known and everything you've done, change it. I'm absolutely not saying that at all. I guess the key thing I'm saying is be yourself. You know, being authentic makes a massive difference to young people. They don't want someone who's like Sue said. They don't want someone who's going to be a tryhard. They have that little, you know, they've got that in them. They know, oh gosh, this person is. No way, no thanks, I'm not going to come back and see them again. They have that radar on them, so it's definitely about just being yourself, and that makes the massive difference. You know, so yeah, if anything, just that'll be the key thing for me.
What's your age bracket?
Our age bracket is 10 to 24, so I'm there. I think that's a few years off, but on those brochures it's 10 to 25, but we've recently changed it to 24. Yep.
What sort of service do you follow up? Do you try and get, are you more involved in getting them to, you actually rebook them, or do you just leave it up to them? And do you use things like texting?
Yep. So the follow-up is very simple. So it's dependent on the clinician. If the clinician feels that the young person needs to come back and see them in a week or a couple of weeks, or they need to be seen sooner, so they might need to see the nurse. I guess the beauty about being part of a one-stop shop for us is that we've got the flexibility of them being able to see and connecting with a youth worker or a social worker, so they can be seen quite quickly with other members of the team who are also connected with those clinicians. I guess in other practices it'll be quite different, but yeah, for us, follow-up is very easy. It's just down to those clinicians, and they can create and make those appointments. No cost barrier at all, that's right. And I guess the only barrier would be whether they need to wait X amount of time, so who else could be part of the picture and part of that team to be able to support that young person and wrap around them, so that by the time they come back to see that main GP that they're seeing, that some other stuff has also happened in between. They also get texts, so we're part of Text to Remind. They get texts, phone calls if needs be, and then from us, we try not to, but social media seems to be the key thing for a lot of young ones. So, and it's quite a sticky thing for a lot of organisations as well. But we know that sometimes that's probably the best avenue to try and access and try and find young people is through social media. So that can be, for us, sometimes the last port of call is going through social media.
What about Manage My Health? Has there been a lot of uptake? Wasn't it?
It's increasing. Yep, and so for us, we're definitely making a big push on it because we know that that's the way of the future, that's the way of now actually. And so, yeah, there hasn't been a big uptake on it, but we're definitely pushing on it. And the young people that have jumped on board with it has made a difference for them. A lot of the young ones that come through our doors who uptake Manage My Health, they're often the ones who are, I guess they're the ones who are interested in their health in terms of being able to be proactive and wanting to know information about what they're doing, how they're feeling, how they're doing things, what medication they may be taking, how they can communicate with their clinician. For some others who probably don't quite have that literacy or even have that interest, that shared interest in that, those are probably the harder ones to try and get on to Manage My Health, but that's definitely the way that we'd like to try and push.
So that would provide another avenue, because I'm at Glory, we've got like 9,000 on the patient portal, and so there is quite a bit of work that we do online, so to speak. We don't do official consults, but actually we can touch base and just quickly check in with them. We found that really useful for our even some of our older population.
Yeah, and I know that so Dr. Sean, who will be here this afternoon, he's one of our GPs, and he's been pushing a lot of stuff around us making sure that we can even just have some over the phone consultations. Some of that stuff just makes a quick difference. And so, yeah, I know he's been pushing a lot of stuff with us in terms of trying to catch up with the game and not be, make sure we're not falling behind. Any last questions?
I was going to ask about how you manage, or do you see lots of no-shows, but you kind of answered that with the phone calls and the... Yeah.
I guess for us, so
one of the barriers I've noticed a little bit. It's just, you know, they have the intention of wanting to do it, but then when it actually comes time, it's like, oh, I forgot, or something else better comes along.
Yeah. And that's the crux of it, to be honest. It's especially with nowadays with young people being very transient, young people and even transient with their own communication. So some of them change their phones and change their phone numbers like they're changing their clothes. You know, so I guess being able to be accessible for them and knowing that, look, we're here, we're available. But in terms of our DNA rates, it's gone down for us, but it's still an annoying thing, I guess. I don't know if there's a kind of a one size fits all or even like a quick fix kind of answer, to be honest, because we would have, if we'd known that, we would have hopefully done it and fixed it by now. But I guess it's different for everybody. But it's particularly with this age group, it's that they're hard to hold down. Yeah.